What unfolded on a recent episode of The View quickly became the kind of moment that social media thrives on, not because it was officially confirmed, but because viewers began circulating a dramatic interpretation of what they thought they saw. According to online chatter, the atmosphere shifted when Lisa Kudrow joined the panel, with early conversation feeling polite yet tense, as if unspoken disagreements were already simmering beneath the surface of friendly television smiles and carefully timed laughter. As the discussion moved from light entertainment topics into cultural commentary, audiences claimed the energy noticeably changed. Fans watching at home later described Kudrow as thoughtful but visibly guarded, choosing her words carefully while Joy Behar leaned into her trademark directness. What some interpreted as playful banter, others read as subtle provocation, the kind that often goes unnoticed until a single remark reframes the entire exchange in a more confrontational light. Online recaps suggest the turning point came when a topic related to comedy, generational humor, and public sensitivity entered the conversation. Kudrow, known for her measured intelligence and dry wit, allegedly pushed back on a generalized statement. Viewers say her response was calm but firm, signaling discomfort with how the issue was being framed, while Behar countered with her own perspective, refusing to soften her stance. From there, speculation claims the exchange became less about the topic itself and more about tone and respect. Body language analysts on social platforms dissected every glance and pause, arguing that Kudrow's posture shifted, her smile fading as she leaned back slightly. Behar, by contrast, appeared animated and confident, reinforcing her argument with sharper phrasing that some viewers felt crossed from debate into dismissal. Those who later replayed the clip insist that Kudrow attempted to redirect the conversation toward nuance, emphasizing personal experience over broad statements. The alleged tension, however, seemed to escalate when interruptions occurred, a common talk show dynamic but one that, in this retelling, symbolized a deeper clash of conversational styles and generational outlooks within modern media discourse. Social media users claimed the studio audience grew unusually quiet during this stretch, a silence that can feel amplified on live television. Kudrow reportedly paused mid-thought, exhaled, and delivered a brief comment that many interpreted as frustration rather than anger. In the retold narrative, this moment marked the subtle shift from polite disagreement to something emotionally heavier and more personal. Behar, according to circulating accounts, responded with humor that some viewers found sharp-edged. While supporters argued it was classic Joy Behar sarcasm, critics online framed it as dismissive. Kudrow's expression, they say, suggested she felt unheard, and the conversation began to feel less like an exchange of ideas and more like a power struggle over who controlled the narrative at the table. As producers allegedly attempted to steer the segment forward, the energy never fully recovered. Kudrow's responses grew shorter, more restrained, and viewers claimed she avoided eye contact. In speculative retellings, this withdrawal was interpreted as a sign that she had emotionally disengaged, deciding internally that continuing the discussion would only deepen the discomfort rather than resolve it. The moment that fueled the headline-making rumor, according to online commentary, occurred after one final interruption. Kudrow allegedly stopped speaking altogether, offered a polite but tight smile, and made a brief remark about needing a moment. To some, it looked rehearsed and professional. To others, it felt like a breaking point finally surfacing on live television. In these unofficial accounts, Kudrow then stood up, thanked the hosts, and calmly exited the table. There was no shouting, no dramatic gestures, just a quiet departure that contrasted sharply with the emotional weight viewers projected onto it. This restraint is precisely what made the moment so compelling online, as audiences filled in the emotional gaps with their own interpretations. Cameras reportedly cut to the remaining hosts, who appeared momentarily stunned before smoothly transitioning to the next segment. This professional recovery, common in live broadcasting, only fueled speculation further. Viewers questioned whether what they witnessed was planned, spontaneous, or the result of behind-the-scenes tensions finally surfacing under the pressure of live discussion. Within minutes, clips labeled "Lisa Kudrow walks off The View" began circulating, often cropped and captioned dramatically. Context was lost as engagement grew, with each repost adding emotional language that transformed a quiet exit into a heated confrontation. The speed of this transformation highlighted how modern audiences often experience events through narrative amplification rather than verified detail. Fans quickly split into camps, some defending Kudrow's alleged decision as an act of self-respect, others siding with Behar's unapologetic style. Comment sections filled with debates not just about the moment itself, but about broader issues like civility in discourse, generational divides in comedy, and the pressures placed on guests in confrontational talk show formats. Media analysts weighed in, noting that talk shows thrive on tension but walk a fine line between engaging debate and uncomfortable conflict. In this interpretation, Kudrow's supposed exit became symbolic, representing a celebrity choosing personal boundaries over televised sparring, a choice that resonated with viewers tired of conflict-driven entertainment. Meanwhile, skeptics urged caution, pointing out that no official confirmation supported the more dramatic claims. They argued that selective editing and emotionally charged captions often distort reality, transforming ordinary television moments into viral controversies. Still, the story continued spreading, powered less by facts and more by the emotional reactions it provoked. The absence of immediate statements from Kudrow or Behar only intensified curiosity. Silence, in the age of constant updates, is often interpreted as confirmation, even when it simply reflects professionalism. This vacuum allowed speculation to flourish, with fans projecting their own expectations and biases onto both women involved. Some narratives framed Kudrow as a quiet intellectual clashing with the louder, more confrontational host, while others rejected this simplification as unfair and gendered. That discussion expanded beyond the individuals to examine how women in media are often pitted against each other, their disagreements exaggerated into dramatic rivalries for public consumption. Former talk show guests and hosts chimed in online, sharing how live television can magnify minor miscommunications. They suggested that what looks like conflict on screen often feels very different in the room, shaped by time cues, producer prompts, and the constant awareness of millions watching from home. As days passed, the story evolved into a case study of viral storytelling. Each retelling added emotional color, reinforcing the idea of a heated confrontation despite the lack of overt aggression in the available footage. The narrative became less about what actually happened and more about what audiences wanted it to represent. Supporters of Kudrow praised her history of thoughtful interviews and argued that walking away, if it happened, demonstrated maturity. Supporters of Behar countered that challenging ideas is central to the View's format, and that discomfort does not automatically equal disrespect. Both perspectives coexisted, fueling ongoing debate. Entertainment blogs capitalized on the ambiguity, using suggestive language that implied certainty while avoiding outright claims. Headlines emphasized emotion, not verification, knowing that curiosity drives clicks. In doing so, they contributed to a feedback loop where speculation generated engagement, which in turn validated the speculation. The moment also reignited conversations about celebrity boundaries. Viewers discussed whether public figures owe audiences emotional resilience or whether stepping away from uncomfortable situations should be normalized. Kudrow's rumored exit became a touchstone for these broader cultural discussions. Critics of the viral narrative emphasized the importance of media literacy, reminding audiences that edited clips rarely tell full stories. They encouraged viewers to consider how framing, captions, and repetition can shape perception more powerfully than facts themselves. Over time, the intensity of the discussion began to fade, replaced by newer controversies. Yet the story lingered as an example of how quickly a single television moment can be transformed into a dramatic saga, complete with heroes, villains, and moral lessons assigned by the crowd. Whether or not the confrontation unfolded as described, the reaction revealed much about audience expectations. People crave authenticity but also drama, respect but also confrontation. When these desires collide, even quiet moments can be recast as explosive turning points. For Kudrow, the story reinforced her image as someone who values thoughtful dialogue, at least in the eyes of her supporters. For Behar, It reaffirmed her role as a provocative voice unafraid of challenging guests. These established personas made the rumored clash feel believable, even without confirmation. Industry insiders noted that talk shows often plan for disagreement but cannot script emotional reactions. Live television remains unpredictable, which is part of its appeal. That unpredictability leaves room for interpretation, especially when viewers watch through the lens of existing biases. As the narrative settled into pop culture memory, it became less about the specific exchange and more about what it symbolized to different people. Some saw empowerment, others saw incivility, and many simply saw another example of how easily stories grow online. In the end, the alleged walk-off stands as a reminder that not every viral moment reflects reality. Sometimes it reflects collective emotion, shaped by editing, commentary, and the human tendency to seek meaning in incomplete information. Whether viewed as a real confrontation or a dramatized misunderstanding, the story surrounding Lisa Kudrow and Joy Behar underscores the fragile line between conversation and conflict in modern media, and how quickly that line can be redrawn by the narratives we choose to believe. As the online conversation continued to grow, viewers began revisiting older interviews featuring both women, searching for patterns that might support their preferred interpretation. Small moments from past appearances were recontextualized, with fans arguing that Kudrow has always favored reflective discussion over combative exchanges, while Behar has built a career on sharp commentary. These retrospective analyses added layers to the story, even though they were based more on perception than on any confirmed tension between the two. Algorithms played a quiet but powerful role in amplifying the narrative. Once users interacted with a single clip or headline, similar content flooded their feeds, reinforcing the idea that the incident was far bigger than it may have been. This repetition created a sense of consensus, where constant exposure made speculation feel like established fact rather than an evolving rumor. Some viewers focused less on the personalities involved and more on the structure of daytime talk shows themselves. They argued that formats built around panel debate often encourage interruption and conflict, making discomfort almost inevitable. In this framing, the supposed walk-off became a symptom of a system that prioritizes lively exchanges over thoughtful listening. Others highlighted how celebrity guests are often placed in vulnerable positions, expected to promote projects while also navigating unpredictable discussions. Kudrow's rumored reaction was interpreted by these viewers as a reminder that even seasoned performers can feel cornered when conversations shift unexpectedly, especially under the pressure of live television. That discussion also sparked broader commentary on age and generational perspectives in comedy. Fans debated whether humor that once felt progressive can later feel dismissive, and whether challenging that evolution on air is productive or unnecessarily provocative. In this sense, the alleged clash became a stand-in for a much larger cultural reckoning. Meanwhile, media watchdogs pointed out how language shapes perception. The phrase walked off implies drama and defiance, even when the action itself may have been calm and polite. By choosing such wording, outlets subtly guided audiences toward emotional conclusions before they even engaged with the content. As speculation persisted, some fans expressed disappointment that a moment involving two accomplished women was framed primarily as conflict. They argued that this framing overshadowed Kudrow's career achievements and Behar's decades-long influence, reducing both to characters in a viral storyline rather than respected figures in entertainment. The lack of raw, uninterrupted footage became a central issue in the debate. Short clips, often trimmed for maximum impact, left out transitions and context that might have softened the perceived tension. Without full context, viewers filled gaps with imagination, a process that often leans toward drama rather than moderation. In fan forums, hypothetical scenarios emerged, with users rewriting the exchange in their own words. These imagined dialogues, though clearly fictional, gained traction and were sometimes mistaken for real quotes. This blending of fact and fiction further blurred the line between what happened and what felt true. Some commentators suggested that Kudrow's rumored exit resonated because it mirrored experiences many viewers have had in their own lives. Walking away from an unproductive conversation can feel empowering, and seeing a celebrity do the same allowed audiences to project personal meaning onto the moment. Others countered that leaving a discussion can also be interpreted as avoidance, depending on perspective. This duality fueled endless debate, with neither side able to claim definitive moral ground. The ambiguity of the moment kept it alive far longer than a clear-cut confrontation might have. Industry professionals noted that producers often plan contingency strategies for unexpected guest reactions. Smooth transitions and calm host responses are designed to minimize disruption, which can make significant moments appear smaller on screen while still feeling intense to those involved. The story's longevity was also tied to nostalgia. Kudrow's association with beloved roles led fans to feel protective, interpreting any perceived slight as an attack on someone they've grown up watching. Emotional attachment amplified reactions that might otherwise have remained muted. Behar's supporters, meanwhile, emphasized her role as a provocateur whose job is to challenge guests. They argued that expecting a gentler approach misunderstands the show's identity, and that discomfort is not only inevitable but intentional within that format. As weeks passed, the incident became shorthand in online discussions about talk show etiquette. Commenters referenced it as an example, regardless of whether they believed the details, illustrating how viral narratives can evolve into cultural reference points detached from their origins. Communication experts used the moment to discuss active listening and conversational balance. They noted that perceived interruptions often carry more emotional weight than intended, especially when power dynamics, reputation, and audience expectations are involved. The silence from official sources eventually shifted from intriguing to routine, and attention began drifting elsewhere. Yet the story had already left its mark, demonstrating how quickly modern media cycles can elevate fleeting moments into defining narratives. Some fans expressed relief when the topic faded, feeling it had overshadowed more meaningful conversations. Others lamented the missed opportunity for a deeper public dialogue about the issues allegedly raised during the exchange. Retrospective articles framed the incident as a lesson in restraint, both for viewers and for media outlets. They encouraged skepticism, reminding audiences that emotional reactions are often cultivated intentionally through selective framing. The episode also highlighted the difference between disagreement and disrespect. Many viewers acknowledged that strong opinions need not equate to hostility, and that interpreting tone through a screen can be misleading. In classrooms and media studies discussions, the rumored walk-off was cited as an example of narrative construction. Students analyzed how headlines, repetition, and audience bias can collectively reshape reality. For casual viewers, the story became just another fleeting controversy, remembered vaguely but rarely revisited. This impermanence underscored how quickly attention moves on, even from moments that once felt explosive. Some fans speculated that future appearances might subtly reference the incident, though no such acknowledgement materialized. The absence of follow-up reinforced the idea that the drama existed largely in public interpretation rather than private reality. Over time, the narrative softened, with more balanced takes gaining traction. These perspectives emphasized uncertainty, cautioning against assigning intent without confirmation. The conversation ultimately revealed more about audience psychology than about the alleged confrontation itself. People gravitate toward stories that validate their beliefs about respect, power, and authenticity. In that sense, the moment served as a mirror, reflecting collective anxieties about communication in polarized environments. The idea of someone choosing to step away resonated deeply in an era defined by constant argument. Media historians noted that similar moments have occurred for decades, but rarely with such amplification. What once might have been forgotten is now preserved, replayed, and debated indefinitely. The story's evolution demonstrated how celebrity culture intersects with everyday values. Viewers weren't just watching a talk show, they were negotiating their own beliefs through the lens of fame. Whether interpreted as quiet protest or misunderstood pause, the rumored walk-off became a symbol shaped by whoever told the story. Each retelling revealed as much about the narrator as about the event. In the broader cultural landscape, the tale stands as a reminder that meaning is often constructed collectively, and that in the age of viral media, perception can matter just as much as reality itself.